If you're over 60, I want you to think about your own home for a second. Not a stranger's house, not a hospital. Your home, the place you feel the safest in the entire world. Here's something that might be hard to hear, but it's exactly why I wanted to make this video. Most falls after 60 don't happen on icy sidewalks, or crowded staircases, or somewhere far from home. They happen right there, inside the four walls that are supposed to be the safest place you know. And the strange part is, the things that cause it are usually things you've walked past 1,000 times. Things that have been sitting in your home for years, completely unnoticed, because your eyes have simply stopped seeing them. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 specific fall risk signs, the exact same ones used in home safety checklists from the CDC, signs that are hiding in plain sight in almost every home over a certain age. By the end, you'll know exactly what to look for, room by room, and exactly what to do about each one. Let's walk through your house together. Let me tell you about something that happens more often than people realize. A woman, let's say she's 74, lives alone, independent, sharp as ever. Her daughter visits every few weekends, and everything always looks fine. The house is clean. Everything's in its place. Nothing looks dangerous. And then, one evening, she gets up in the dark to use the bathroom, and she catches her foot on the edge of a small rug she's had in that hallway for 15 years. A rug she's walked over 10,000 times without a single problem. Except this time, her foot catches the curled-up corner, just slightly, and that's all it takes. Here's the part that really gets me. When her daughter later walked through the house with a home safety checklist, she found not one, but 4 separate things that could have caused exactly what happened. The rug, a dim hallway light that had been slowly dying for months, a stack of magazines by the reading chair, and a phone charger cord running right across the walking path to the bedroom. None of these things, individually, looked dangerous. They'd been there for years. That's exactly the problem familiarity makes us blind to risk. Your brain stops flagging things as hazards once you've walked past them enough times without incident. And here's something worth sitting with for a moment. It wasn't that this woman was careless. It wasn't that her daughter wasn't paying attention. Both of them are exactly the kind of people you'd think would notice something like this: attentive, close, visiting regularly. That's actually what makes this topic so important. This isn't about carelessness. It's about a very specific, very human blind spot that develops in every single home, no matter how careful or observant the people living in it are. Think about your own house for a second. When's the last time you actually walked through it, room by room, specifically looking for hazards, rather than just living in it the way you always have? For most people, the honest answer is never. Not because they don't care about safety, but simply because nobody ever asked them to look at their own home that way before. According to the CDC, more than half of all falls among older adults actually happen at home. And unlike an icy sidewalk or an unfamiliar building, your own home is something you can actually control, completely, today, without waiting for anyone else. That's the part I want you to really sit with. This isn't a risk you have to just accept. It's one you can walk through, room by room, and fix. So let's do exactly that. Here's how home safety experts and physical therapists actually think about this. They don't just say, be careful. They look for specific, repeatable categories of hazards, because falls almost always trace back to one of a small handful of root causes. Let's go through the 5 biggest ones. Sign number 1, lighting specifically, the gap between rooms. Here's something most people don't think about. It's not usually a completely dark room that causes a fall. It's the transition. Walking from a bright kitchen into a dim hallway. Getting up in the middle of the night and going from a pitch-black bedroom into a bathroom with a single, weak overhead bulb. Your eyes need a few seconds to adjust to a big change in light and in those few seconds, your depth perception is essentially unreliable. That's precisely when people misjudge a step or don't see an object on the floor. There's a reason this particular hazard is so easy to miss during the day. If you only ever check your home in daylight, or with every light in the house switched on, you simply never encounter the exact conditions where this risk actually shows up. The only way to really see it is to walk through at the time it actually matters, at night, using only the lights you'd realistically have on. Sign number 2. Loose rugs and mats, especially ones without a non-slip backing underneath. This is one of the single most common hazards found in home safety assessments, and it's also one of the most emotionally hard to deal with, because so often these are rugs with sentimental value. A rug from a trip. A rug that's always been in the family room. But here's the thing that physical therapists point out: even a rug that lies mostly flat can have a slightly curled edge, and that curled edge is exactly the height your foot doesn't expect. Your brain has already calculated a flat floor. When reality doesn't match that calculation, even by half an inch, that's often enough. What makes rugs particularly deceptive is that they behave differently depending on the day. Humidity, foot traffic, even how recently they were vacuumed, can change whether an edge is lying flat or slightly curled. A rug that seemed perfectly safe last week isn't necessarily safe this week, which is exactly why this is a hazard worth rechecking periodically, not just assessing once and forgetting about. Sign number 3. Clutter and cords in walking paths. Now, most people don't think of a phone charger cord or a laundry basket left by the stairs as a hazard. It just seems like everyday life. But here's how physical therapists frame it: anything that changes the walking path from what your brain expects, especially anything low to the ground that's hard to see, is functionally the same risk as a step you didn't know was there. And this category tends to sneak up on people slowly. A cord here, a stack of mail there. None of it looks like a big deal in isolation. It's the accumulation that becomes the problem. This is also the category most likely to change week to week, which makes it a little different from the other 4. A hallway can be completely clear on Monday and have 3 new obstacles by Friday simply through the normal flow of daily life packages, seasonal decorations, a bag set down just for a minute that ends up staying for days. Sign number 4. Bathroom surfaces without grab support. The bathroom deserves its own category because it combines several risk factors at once. Wet, slippery surfaces, a lot of up and down movement, sitting and standing from the toilet, stepping in and out of a tub or shower, and often the room with the least amount of something sturdy nearby to hold on to. Home safety assessments consistently flag bathrooms as one of the highest risk rooms in the entire house, precisely because of this combination. It's also worth noting that bathrooms are frequently the smallest room in the house, which means there's often very little space to catch yourself if your foot does slip. No open floor to step onto, no furniture nearby to grab. That combination of a slippery surface and a tight, hard-edged space is part of why injuries that do happen in bathrooms tend to be more serious, not just more frequent. Sign number 5. Stairs without a secure, full-length railing. This one might sound obvious, but here's what most people get wrong about it. It's not just about having a railing, it's about having one that runs the full length of the stairs, on a wall that's structurally secure, not one that wobbles when you actually put your weight on it. A lot of homes have a railing that covers, say, the top half of the stairs, but not the bottom, right where people are often most tired and most likely to need it, like coming up with groceries or going down late at night. There's also a psychological piece to this one worth mentioning. A railing that looks fine, but that you've never actually tested with your full weight, gives you a false sense of security. You assume it will hold, right up until the moment you actually lean on it hard. That gap between assumed safety and tested safety is exactly what Step 5, later in this video, addresses directly. Now here's something important to understand about all 5 of these. None of them are really about how strong or steady you personally are. That's actually the whole point of a home safety review. It separates hazards that live in your body, like balance or strength, from hazards that live in your environment, that have nothing to do with you at all, and everything to do with the house itself. And the environment-based hazards? Those are, frankly, the easiest ones to fix. You don't need to train for weeks. You often just need to notice them and change one small thing, which is exactly what we're going to walk through next. All right, let's go room by room. 5 categories, 5 simple fixes. Step 1. Fix the lighting transitions. Walk through your home once, specifically at night, with the lights you'd normally use. Pay attention to any hallway, stairwell, or doorway where the light noticeably drops. The fix here is inexpensive and doesn't require any renovation plug-in nightlights, ideally motion-activated ones, placed along the path from your bedroom to the bathroom and at the top and bottom of any stairs. This single change directly addresses that dangerous transition zone your eyes struggle with. If you want to take it one step further, a small flashlight or a phone with a flashlight app kept on your nightstand is a simple backup for the handful of nights when a nightlight bulb happens to burn out before you notice. Step 2. Deal with rugs, honestly, not sentimentally. For every rug in a walking path, ask yourself one direct question: does it have a non-slip backing? And does it lie completely flat with no curled edges right now, today? If the answer is no to either one, you have 2 real options. Add non-slip tape or a rug pad underneath it, which is cheap and takes about 5 minutes per rug. Or, for rugs in high-traffic areas, specifically hallways, in front of the bed, right by the bathroom door, consider removing them from that specific spot, even if you keep them somewhere lower risk, like under a coffee table where you're not actively walking. A helpful way to think about this, if it feels hard emotionally, you're not getting rid of the rug. You're just relocating it to a place where it can't hurt anyone. That reframe alone makes this step much easier for a lot of people. Step 3. Do a 5-minute walking path sweep once a week. Walk the paths you use most: bedroom to bathroom, kitchen to living room, front door to inside, and simply notice what's sitting on the floor along the way. Cords, shoes, bags, stacks of anything. The habit that works best here isn't a one-time deep clean. It's a short, repeated weekly check, because clutter has a way of quietly creeping back in within days. A practical tip that helps this stick: tie it to something you already do every week, like taking out the trash or watering plants. Habits that get attached to an existing routine are far more likely to actually continue long-term than ones that stand completely on their own. Step 4. Add real support in the bathroom. This is the one step I'd encourage you not to skip, even though it can feel like the most involved. Grab bars, properly installed into a wall stud, near the toilet and inside the shower or tub, make an enormous difference in exactly the kind of up and down, wet surface movement we talked about earlier. A non-slip bath mat, both inside the tub and just outside it, on the floor, is a much smaller and simpler addition, but genuinely useful. If a full grab bar installation feels like a bigger project, that's completely understandable. That's a great specific thing to bring up with a home health service, an occupational therapist, or even a handyman, rather than trying to figure it out alone. One thing worth knowing: grab bars today don't have to look clinical or institutional. Many are now designed to blend in with regular bathroom fixtures, so this isn't necessarily the stark, hospital-like addition people sometimes picture in their heads. Step 5. Check every railing by actually testing it. Don't just glance at your stair railing, put real weight on it, the way you would if you genuinely needed it. Does it wobble at all? Does it run the entire length of the stairs, top to bottom? Or does it stop part way? If it's loose, That's a repair worth prioritizing, because a railing that gives way at the exact moment you lean on it is arguably worse than having no railing at all, since you'd trust it in a moment when you actually need it most. If your stairs only have a railing on one side, it's also worth considering whether a second railing on the opposite wall makes sense, especially if the stairs are used often or by more than one person in the household with different needs. And a note that applies to every single one of these 5 steps. This video is meant to help you notice and address environmental hazards. It's general education, not a substitute for a professional home safety evaluation. If you've had a fall recently, or you or someone you love has ongoing balance or mobility concerns, occupational therapists actually specialize in exactly this kind of full home assessment, and many home health services offer it, sometimes even covered through insurance. That's a conversation worth having with your own doctor, especially if any of these 5 signs sounded a little too familiar as you were listening. One more thing before we wrap up. I know a video like this can feel like a lot to take in 5 different things to check across your whole house, but I want to be really clear about something. You don't need to fix all 5 today. You don't even need to fix all 5 this month. What actually matters is that you start seeing your home differently, not as the place I've always lived, but as a space you're actively looking after, one small check at a time. That shift in how you look at your own home is honestly the biggest part of this whole video. So let's bring it together. 5 signs, hiding in plain sight in almost every home. Lighting transitions between rooms, loose rugs without non-slip backing, clutter and cords in your walking paths, bathrooms without real grab support, and stair railings that aren't secure or don't run the full length. None of these require you to change who you are, or how active you are, or how strong your balance is. They just require you to walk through your own home, once, with fresh eyes, almost like you're a visitor, seeing it for the very first time. Pick just one of these 5 today. Not all 5 at once, just one. Walk through, notice it, and fix it this week. Then next week, pick another. 5 small, manageable checks, spread out, will always beat one overwhelming to-do list that never actually gets started. If this was helpful, the next video in this series is that 3-minute balance test I mentioned earlier, a quick way to check your own balance risk directly, not just your environment. The two go hand in hand: a safe home and steady balance, and together they cover most of what actually causes falls after 60. Go ahead and subscribe so you catch it. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. And remember, the goal here was never to make you nervous about your own home. It was the opposite. A home you've actually checked, room by room, is a home you can trust completely, without that quiet background worry. That peace of mind alone is worth the walkthrough.